St. Joseph's Nudgee College, a school with a rich tradition and history that goes back over 130 years. A school with a grand reputation forged by the success of those who have come before us. A school centered around a strong faith and a set of values which shape our culture. A school of inclusivity, loyalty, authenticity, justice, and a deep sense of community. A school with an unrivaled and envied spirit. A school which is blue, white, and blue. A school that we, the men of Nudgee, are fortunate to call our own. Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, special guests, members of the CLT, staff, parents, and my Nudgee brothers. Edmund Rice was a Catholic missionary who believed students could become agents of change with the hope that they were free to build a better life for all and ultimately become signum fidei, a sign of faith. It is with this in mind that we can reflect on what makes Nudgee truly great. We all strive to be a part of the culture of excellence that is on display here every day, be it on the sporting field, in the classroom, in the boarding houses, or in the many other facets of college life. Our accomplishments and achievements in these areas are undoubtedly worthy of acknowledgement, as they underpin the culture of Nudgee. Yet, what is truly most important is what is unique about Nudgee: Nudgee spirit. This intangible force is at the core of a Nudgee man, but when asked to define what Nudgee spirit is, there is no one singular answer. Is it the presence that falls upon you when you enter the school gates? Is it the sensation of hearing the 10,000 brothers cheering back at you in the grandstand on Ross? Is it the unwavering mateship that is continually seen across the school grounds, or is it the small acts of kindness played out when no one is watching? In fact, it is all of this and so much more. However, the real uniqueness of Nudgee spirit lies within the meaningful connections we build with all members of our college, our own families, and the families of our Nudgee brothers. These relationships and the sense of belonging that accompany them are at the core of Nudgee spirit, which is eternally embedded in the 10,000 brothers. It is with this in mind that we are proud to announce the senior motto of 2023, Courage to Live the Spirit. Courage is a core value which sits at the top of the Nudgee Faith Star, inspiring us to be people of positive action. It stirs us from our comfort zone, challenges us to set the standard, and critically calls us to be signum fidei. As true Nudgee men, we can do this by being true to our core values, by standing up for what we believe in and know is right, and calling out and questioning what we know isn't. We need to be men of courage in our actions and men of courage in our choices. In doing this, we will foster a collective spirit, a spirit that we can identify with, that empowers us and lets you be you. This time last year, college captain Harry Rawadi spoke about how challenges create change, and I've no doubt that this year will certainly provide its own set of challenges. While these moments will challenge our spirit, values, and beliefs, these challenges will also provide an opportunity for us to come together and to create change for the better. We need to embrace these opportunities, drawing upon this year's motto for inspiration, and aspire to leave a lasting legacy that goes beyond our time here. As we begin 2023, take a moment to ask yourself, how will I truly live the Spirit? Will you be courageous and step up to challenge? Will you take a chance and try something new? Will you go against the norm and stand up for what you know is right? Will you apply yourself to your schoolwork and try that bit harder? Will you always be kind? It's our everyday interactions that shape our culture and spirit, so we must act with integrity and model the way for others. As Nudgee men, we are called to show compassion, to be selfless, and to give encouragement and support when required. We are called to aspire to be true to ourselves, to be the best we can be, but also to be a positive influence on others. This year will fly by quickly, so grasp every opportunity, answer the call to be a signum fidei, and most importantly, have the courage to live the Spirit. Thank you.
Father Bonnie Abraham, Father John Gillen, Reverend Christian brothers, Brother Damien Price and other members of the College Advisory Council, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, and of course, Nudgy men. Morning, men. Boys, thank you, as Mr. Thompson mentioned earlier, for the way you've engaged today. It's been absolutely terrific. My task today is a pretty simple one, and that is to introduce our special guest, the Right Honourable Leanne Linard, Minister for Children and Youth Justice, Minister for Multicultural Affairs, and State Member of Parliament for the Nudgee electorate, in which our college sits. However, before I do that, I do want to thank Bonnie for his presence today and his acknowledgement and his passionate homily. I hope it stays with you boys for a long time. It certainly will with me. Also want to acknowledge Jacob, his great speech today, and thank him for his fine words last Wednesday night and again today. Both speeches mentioned belonging. Last year's Year 12s talked about, as they exited, there was a survey done. Overwhelmingly, the boys had a sense of belonging. For those littlest boys who have arrived today, through to the Year 12 boys who are on their final lap of Nudgee College, if I could call it that. Boys, I hope you find that sense of belonging through your journey here at Nudgee. I love the college, the senior motto for this year, courage to live the spirit. I think it'll be an energising, motivating clarion call for all of us throughout the year. So I thank Jacob for that, and I wish Jacob and all the senior leaders and the senior class of 2023 all the best for their year of service and leadership. So in the spirit of clapping, boys, let's wish our Year 12s well for this year. So to my main tasks, it's not easy to summarise the breadth of achievements of Leanne Linard. In saying that, I know that Leanne would cringe if I did, because she doesn't like the focus or the spotlight to be placed upon her. She's humble in the best possible way and more focused on serving others than promoting herself. I would think, boys, these two qualities resonates with you as a Nudgee man. So at the risk of embarrassing Leanne, I would like to highlight a few significant things about her. She has lived in the Nudgee electorate for most of her life. She grew up in a Defence Force family and learned the values of genuine community service. Leanne attended Virginia State School just down Sandgate Road here, and Banyo High School, which we now know as Earnshaw College, where she was college captain. She holds a Bachelor of Business degree from the Queensland University of Technology and a Certificate for and Workplace Assessment and Training. Before she entered Parliament, Leanne worked as an Executive Officer of a Commonwealth Statutory Authority, as a policy advisor in the Queensland Government, as well as in private sector management. Leanne was first elected as a member for Nudgee in 2015, re-elected in 2017 and again in 2020. Prior to being appointed Minister for Children, Youth Justice and Multicultural Affairs in November of 2020, Leanne served as a parliamentary chair of several portfolio committees between 2015 and 2020, including the Committee for Child Safety. Leanne has served several community roles, including co-chair and patron of the Upbeat Arts, member of the Australian Catholic University Brisbane Community Chapter, a member of the Brisbane Lions Advisory Council and Bravehearts, Brisbane Roar FC and the Nunda Activity Centre. Leanne is also a lifelong learner and is currently studying for a postgraduate law degree at QUT. I'm not exactly sure where she finds the time to study because she's an incredibly busy person. But I know it involves long study, late in the night, and sometimes very early in the morning. As a local member, Leanne has been a wonderful supporter and friend of the college over my years as principal. I've knocked on her door numerous times. It's always opened. Every year she's also generously hosted our senior leaders at a lunch in the Parliamentary Annex. For all that, I know that Leanne would say that her number one role is being a mum to two beautiful boys. One of them happens to be here at Nudgee already. There's another who can't wait to get to Nudgee. He's got a bit of Nudgee kit. So in our context, as Mr. Mara pointed out, Leanne is a Nudgee mum. So I now ask you to warmly welcome the Right Honourable Miss Leanne Linard to the College, and I vote her to address us today on this occasion. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you all for that very warm welcome. Peter, you are absolutely right. You know me so well. As soon as you started starting that beginning sentence of, I'm just going to outline who Leanne is, as your deputy principal would know, I cringed and lowered my head. But you also picked up on the thing I'm most proud of, and that is that I am indeed a nudgy mum to two beautiful boys. But what an absolute pleasure to be here this morning for your commencement mass and to hear your captain's address. And that was a fantastic address. You could hear and see the effort and the thought, the consideration that had gone into those words. So well done, Jacob. That was beautiful. And what a privilege to share a few thoughts with you as you commence your 2023 school year. But of course I start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting this morning, and the first Australians whose lands, winds and waters we all now share. I grew up on Ngunnawal, Larrakia and Turrbal land, and now have the great honour of serving this local community on Turrbal land. I pay my respects to elders, past and present, and acknowledge any and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students and people in the room here this morning. Of course, I warmly acknowledge your college principal, Peter Fulliger, who I'll also probably slip and refer to as Peter, but I'll try. Mr. Fulliger, to get that right. I also want to acknowledge your leadership team, Mr. Fulliger, your teachers and all staff, and warmly thank each and every one of you for your service to the education of young minds in this state. It is a precious and important service. I acknowledge all distinguished guests who are here today, any parents and family who've made the time to be here, and most importantly, young men of Nudgee College. As Mr. Fulliger mentioned, I have the great pleasure of being the State Member of Parliament for the electorate of Nudgee that includes this college. And I have had that pleasure for the past 8 years, going into my 9th year. So I think, Peter, Mr. Fulliger, we were both appointed to our respective roles in the same year. As Peter outlined, I grew up in this local community. 3 generations of my family have lived here. This community has been good to me, and I have a deep, deep sense of connection with it. A deep sense of connection that I'm sure many of your families, and I hope all of you, share with this college and its traditions. For the past 8 years, as your principal mentioned, I have had the pleasure of engaging with your college captains each year at Parliament House. It was a tradition that the previous member started, inviting all school captains from local high schools across the electorate to discuss life and leadership in Parliament House. I attended one of those lunches as then school captain, and I found the time that he spent with us deeply impactful. So it was with great pleasure that I reinstituted this tradition 17 years later when I myself became the member. This time spent each year with your college captains and those from surrounding schools is without doubt one of the absolute highlights of my parliamentary calendar. I am always inspired and encouraged by the resilience, thoughtfulness and character of young people, far beyond, I think, what I had at your age. In respect of your college captains, I am always so impressed, of course, by their achievements. We know they're very, very impressive. They would not have been selected for these important roles if they were not. That goes without saying. But for me, it is the insightful, honest and considered opinions they give in conversation about some of the key challenges of your time. And it is the courage they show to be open and inquiring learners, and the deep sense of responsibility, of service and connection they exhibit to each of you as your college captains that impresses me most. There is without doubt something special about this place. For me, it isn't the beautiful buildings and grounds, or even the college's long history, though these are indeed special and significant achievements. It isn't the impressive accolades, academic, sporting and cultural, that your college amasses, or even the near-deafening war cry at the Nudgee First 15s game, where you deflate my poor nephew at terrace every year, and no doubt every other sporting event where that cry goes up. It is without doubt the transformative potential right here in this room when you bring 1,700 young minds together, provide an education in the mission of your college that liberates hearts and minds, while equally developing young men of big hearts and good character. These qualities are much needed as you prepare to harness the opportunities and face the challenges of your time, as all leaders must. As RFK said, all of us might wish at times that we lived in a more tranquil world, but we don't. And if our times are difficult and perplexing, so are they challenging and filled with opportunity. So to the year ahead, as I mentioned earlier, your college principal has kindly asked me to share a few thoughts with you as you begin your 2023 school year. Your college captain has already spoken so eloquently of your theme for this year, courage to live the Spirit. In my role as Minister for Children and Youth Justice, I spend as much time as possible sitting and listening to the voices of young people across Queensland. Young people in the child protection system, in youth detention, in community, here locally in this electorate, and of course across our local schools. I never stop learning and being challenged by these conversations and of the reality of the inequitable opportunities open to some but not to others. So we have much work still to do. So it is a mix of the hopes and aspirations, fears and challenges that young people have shared with me, and my own life experiences, both the failures and the successes, that I draw from to share these thoughts with you. I hope that maybe even just one will resonate for each of you as you begin the year ahead. Be young men of courage, courage to just be who you are, to put aside others' preconceived notions, perhaps even your own, and to be honest and authentic with yourself and with others. Be young men of conviction, call out injustice, racism, bullying and violence wherever you see it. It diminishes us all. The choices that you make matter, whether they are small choices made each day. Will you do the task you've been set by the teacher, or will you check out? How you treat others, what you choose to do with your lives, big or small, choices matter. They ultimately go to your character and to your values. You are not what you have done in the past. There is always hope, and there is always the chance for redemption. Never count yourself out. No one knows your capacity, and sometimes you yourself will not even know what you are capable of. Be open to opportunities and never fear failure. It isn't fatal. I can attest to that. I lost my first election. I came back. It's been an amazing journey ever since. It will always teach you more than your greatest successes. Take a point of view, be engaged, care about something. There is so much to care about. Life and people are rich and complex. Accept people as they are and without judgment. It is often the most powerful gift that you can give another. Education changes everything. It empowers you to see the world through a larger and different lens. It builds empathy and it builds character. It gives you options and choices. The choices and opportunities in this place and what you can achieve here are truly limitless, and you are surrounded by people who believe in you. Never doubt that good people of integrity can make things better. Be a light in dark places. And for those type A people in the room, particularly those in grade 12, you know who you are, and I'm speaking as a reforming perfectionist myself. Breathe. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. You've got this. In closing, I share with you the famous words of Theodore Roosevelt, far more eloquent than any I could share. They speak to me of resilience, of courage, and of great endeavouring. I have always found them deeply encouraging when I have needed encouragement also. I hope you will find them likewise. He said this, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat, May you all have courage to live the Spirit in the year ahead. Thank you.